Hey, good morning out there. Sorry about that. Good morning out there. Uh, Sorry about that. Like to welcome to another edition of the Garden Party, No Fan Sports Podcast, No Fan TV here on YouTube. I'm your host. I go by New, just a simple NEW. Shout out to my one of my dear day ones, my man Don Q. May you rest in peace, my man Don Q. And it was a beautiful weekend. This past Saturday was a great weekend. Saturday and Sunday. We go chop that up a little bit right after this. You have reached area code 313. All my live niggas in the 313. Again, how you doing out there, everybody? My name is I go by New, just simple NEW. I'm the host of No Fan Sports Podcast. We're gonna try to get this done real quick, man, and get this out the way. So we will go ahead and hit these disclaimers real quick, man. We get these done, get these disclaimers done, so we won't have any problems out there. No Fan Sports Podcast is providing this podcast as a public service, but it is neither legal interpretation nor a statement of No Fan Sports Podcast policy. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or a recommendation by No Fan Sports Podcast. The views expressed by the guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any of the entities that they represent. Views and opinions expressed by myself uh, are those of my own and do not necessarily reflect the view of No Fan Sports Podcast or any of its officials. And also, Fair Use Act disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, and scholarship and research. Fair use is used permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, now that we got that out the way, this was actually a great sports weekend. We had a plethora of events to run through. Naturally, Saturday you got college football weekend, and we had several big games that had taken place. Bama lost. Uh, and which changed the landscape of the AP Top 25. It's been updated uh, recently, and naturally, Bama no longer sits up there. It was a beautiful weekend, by the way. Who we got? They've moved Georgia, which was, it only made sense. They were ranked number 2 at the time, and they looking pretty good right now. Georgia's currently number 1, followed by Iowa, then Cincinnati, which is, that's big. American Atlantic Conference is in there. They're in the hunt right now. They got to look like they, made themselves a seat at the table. We're following up with Oklahoma. Then Alabama dropped down to number 5. My biggest thing with this, though, we Michigan Detroit based group here at No Fan, and of course we got to talk about our locals, and then and this was the big thing for me when I checked out the top 25 this coming week. Uh, Big Ten has made an outstanding show. They've jumped into the top 10. We got 5 teams representing the Big Ten in the AP Top 25 right now. I'm not sure how long it's been since something in that nature had taken place, or the Big Ten in general. It kind of fell off through the years, like most conferences. So many conferences go there. You had your ups and your downs. The Big Ten was a powerhouse in football, especially in football, and several other sports as well. But they've crept up into top 10 on the AP poll. So leading the way right now in that top 10, we got Ohio State, Penn State, and they actually right in order too. 6, 7, and 8. You got Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. Well, I'm sorry, leading the way is Iowa. Iowa is ranked number 2 right now, and that's big. That's a big thing. So we got Iowa number 2, Ohio State is 6, Penn State 7, Michigan 8, and Michigan State comes in at number 10. So we're looking in the meat of the schedules are getting ready to start heating up within the next week or two anyway. Because I think Michigan plays Northwestern this week. Then following that, they run into I think Michigan State and so on and so forth. So Big Ten is getting ready to get kind of hot. Indiana and all those other kind of other universities have been playing pretty well. And what we're looking at in Michigan right now, man, looks like they finally kind of getting hold of their head coach's identity. Um, Jim Harbaugh, I was a big fan. I followed him when he was quarterback in Michigan. I followed him through his college career as far as coaching. I think he coached the Aztecs over there at San Diego State, which led him over to Stanford, I think it was. And he took a school that's really known for its academia and put it on the map as far as a football program and a powerhouse. And what they did with he put them, on they gravitated to him, his ideology. I remember, I can't think of the young man's name right now. I'll look it up, but you can look it up online. I remember he had a two-way player playing in college, man. He had a fullback that also dressed and played defense, played linebacker for him as well. He played fullback and he played linebacker. And what you're seeing in that, and the reason why I brought that up, is what you're seeing in what Michigan program, what they're doing today. They spending a lot of time. They've been running the ball a lot, like a lot of power football, aggressive football, and this is the type of this is the type of ideology that I think reflects Jim Harbaugh. This is what he wants. He wants to punch you in the mouth. He wants to be aggressive, wants to dominate, wants to be physical, and that's what Michigan is trying to. That's what they're starting to do now. I got a lot of detractors, naturally, locals here, waiting for Michigan to get back into the thick of things for quite a while now. And I attribute that to me, this problem has actually went back to 19. I'm gonna say, what was that? 90? Was it 97 when they won the national championship? It was 97. They got a national championship. It was Lloyd Carr era, and he was able to continue coaching for another 10 seasons. But for me, I thought he should have been that situation should have been addressed well before the 10th season mark. Went on to he eventually, I think he stepped down. He did step down, and they went ahead and brought in Rich Rod. Man, Rich Rod lasted 2 seasons, and I'm so glad he's gone. I thought Rich Rod was the equivalent to the death penalty that SMU suffered back in the day, in my opinion. Followed it up with Brady Hoke, and then now we're currently dealing with Harbaugh. Hoke only had 3 seasons, and I was a backer of Hoke. I thought he did a decent job in trying to pick up the pieces from the garbage that Rich Rod had left behind. I thought Brady Hoke was on his way. He actually did halfway decent. I thought I would have gave him another year maybe. But then, Harbaugh became available, and it only made sense to bring him in. He hasn't beat Ohio State. Came close. Should have. Well, actually, they did beat him. Got cheated as far as I'm concerned. But he's been maligned, and his team's been maligned. And naturally, you got some very impatient people within the program, within the state, within the Big Ten, and they've been waiting for the Michigan to turn the tables and get back to respectability. And I've always said that after Rich Rod, the turning the Michigan program back around, I think it was something that would have went anywhere from 2 to 4 coaches. 3 to 4 coaches for sure. We're just on our second coach since Rich Rod. Fortunately, Harbaugh was just able to remain tenured, even though his team hasn't necessarily lived up to the expectations. This season is right now, like I said, this is the early part of the schedule, so they've beaten who they're supposed to beat. Looking impressive. I thought the win against Nebraska was pretty good because in years past, even under Harbaugh, you can watch the team fold under the pressure. They would fold under the pressure after a little adversity and different things like that. But I think they did a good job of solidifying that this weekend. So kudos to Harbaugh and University of Michigan. And let's hope we can get this thing turned around and get back to respectability. That's what we really want to do. Like I said, it was a great weekend. Oh, hey, make sure you hit them like buttons, the subscribe buttons when when I'm going live and different things like that. When we're going live here at No Fan TV. If you go into and you look us up, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, man. You read that bio, man. I like to think what we talk about here At No Fan, we talk pretty much our conversation about sports, man, and any other subject as far as that's concerned. It's pretty much black and white, maybe a shade of gray. Love analytics and metrics and different things like that and stats, but we like to talk about the stuff that you can't put on a stat sheet that doesn't show up. We're talking about. I like to think I consider myself like West Indian Archie sometimes. Book numbers with no pen, no paper, or we just touch on those things, and this was leading up to our final conversation of the day. But this is what we do here at No Fan. Make sure you check us out. We got a new sponsor, Sexy Black Entertainment. It's an online magazine, cooking. Very beautiful young lady, a wonderful cook, and this is what we do, And this is our new sponsor, and I'm glad to have them aboard over there. Check them out again. You can follow them on IG and all the rest of the social DMs or what have you. Like I said, it was a beautiful weekend, a great sports weekend. We had a major fight with the Wilder Fury fight 3, and I spoke on this on the No Fan Sports Slappy Facebook page. Gave a quick little live, and I talked about it somewhat. As far as the fight is concerned. But what I've been hearing a lot, even described by the fighters themselves, and a lot of people around it, I've heard a little conversation or interview with, I think his name is Malik Scott, Wilder's current trainer, the one who trained me for this third fight with Fury. And he and, like I said, several others have described that fight or this past Saturday as a great fight. And I'm not trying to be, but like I said, No Fan, man, we strive ourselves on being just a touch. We touch on them gray areas. I'm not employed by ESPN or any of those networks or any endorsements, any large major companies, anything like that. So I feel free to say as I speak. Even if I was, I still speak because this is what I do. I speak freely, and I've been doing this since I was a youth, a small kid. I had my first sports boycott when I was about 9 to 10 years old myself. I had a bad incident with a basketball coach growing up. And one day we'll talk about that. I'll make that a podcast. We discuss that, and it's going to be touchy because what we getting up into later. But anyway, back to Wilder and Fury. The problem that I had with the No Blue. The problem that I have with one of my pets. Listen, stop, leave it, and down and stay. The problem that I have with the conversation, and they talking about this is a great fight. I didn't see that as a great fight. Great fights to me, and great games, great whatever, representation. When I consider a fight great, especially in the box, since we're talking about boxing, we just stay with boxing. When I consider a fight great, I watch the two pugilists that's in the ring. I watch both pugilists, and I watch the display of their talent. And in boxing is mano a mano. It's just you and him, or you and her, depending on what gender, who's fighting. And you got a coaching staff, trainers, and different things like that you rely on prior to you getting in the ring. And then even while you're in the ring, they still shooting instructions to you, get instructions to you after the ring. My man Wilder came out with a game plan. You can see they did try to work on a few things. He came out with a game plan as far as jabbing, went to the body and trying to keep Fury at bay. And it was actually a great idea, a coach's idea. But the only problem became is they couldn't withstand it. He couldn't continue. To me, Wilder appeared a bit winded after the first round. It was said that he put on some more weight. Naturally put on the weight to combat the weight that Fury comes in at. Fury comes in 2 inches taller and like 40 pounds heavier. Okay. So this going in. One of the things I did notice about Wilder, and I wasn't a big fan of his, I didn't really follow him, even with all the racking up all the 41, 41 straight knockouts and different things. And I just was never really overly impressed with him because, like I said, here again at No Fan, we don't just look at statistics and analytics and metrics. We kind of like study. I like to study. I like to watch an opponent. or watch a team, and I watch them, and I'm kind of like watching, pay attention to details. And one of the reasons why I do that is because even with my own personal athletic endeavors growing up, from youth football to the junior college football, um, up to that level, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever sport that I participated in. I wasn't necessarily always the biggest, fastest, strongest, or the best on my particular teams or whatever that was. But I like to tell people all the time, if you do a little research, you go to the neighborhood. We do some nickname. We're gonna do a post. A podcast about nicknames too. But you go to the neighborhood, and uh, and that's one of the things with people that play the game. And I'm not sure anybody can co-sign me on this. You like to be respected amongst your peers. That's one of the biggest things. That's one of your first levels of respect that you try to obtain once you endeavor and you dive into some of these little sports and that. But I like to think, I always tell the people, like, okay, no, it wasn't the best, but I guarantee you'll know I was there. You know I was on the field. You know I was playing. We put it like that. So in order for me to be able to participate with some of the more talented athletes that I came across in my playing time, I had to pay attention to details. I had to do things a little bit different. We had to take advantage of some other weaknesses that some people may have, or, do a little studying, a little research, to get your job done. So with all that said, when I watch sports, I watch the sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever it is that I watch, boxing, I'm watching details, and I'm looking for little subtleties that, maybe where, like, if I was the opponent, where I can get in, where I fit in, and try to make my mark and change the dynamic of what's going on between me and that individual, me and that team. So I watch things, and I'm very detail oriented. One of the things I picked up on Wilder a long time, he's got some real small legs for a person his size. He got skinny legs. And I mention his legs because uh, when you combating a larger opponent and a heavier opponent, you want your base. Your base needs to be intact. Actually, I'm surprised on how you get all that power out of his body, man. His legs, I don't know how that come about, but anyway, you want your base strong. You need a strong base, and I thought, he put on the weight, looked like put on some upper body muscle mass. Really, and they say that putting on certain muscle as a boxer is not necessarily a good thing. Um, but it just seemed like most of the focus was up top to me. Didn't really work on the legs. And this is what Fury want to do anyway. You want to lay on you. 40 pounds, yes, I want to get close to you. I want to grab you. I want to hold on to you. I want to lay on you. But here's the problem when I have this. He was late coming out of the dressing room. Supposedly had some issues with the gloves. Some speculations coming out here that he changed his gloves up to be some type of MMA gloves, make them more powerful or whatever. It's also a lot of speculation and conversation that he was upset because of the stuff that was going around about their last fight, and supposedly Fury had some bad gloves or whatever. I've heard some PED talk. I've heard a whole bunch of things in speculation wise. He had some problems with the gear that he came in to represent himself. His first fight. Thought maybe the gear was too heavy. He was tired or whatever. It's just so many excuses. He fired Mark Breland for throwing in the towel on him, or what have you. The Fury 2 fight. Wilder Fury 2 fight, a bunch of things, a bunch of finger pointing by Wilder, his camp, and many others, novice fans, sports reporters, writers, whoever, especially fans. There's a lot of finger pointing at the reason why they felt that, Fury was able to come through with the victory in that second fight. But I got this little saying that I always, I pose to a lot of people often. Michael Jackson had a song called "The Man in the Mirror," and I listened to it not just because I like Michael Jackson. I had to take a look at that man in the mirror myself, and I think this is something that everyone should be, should adhere to, And you take that time out, you start investigating the man in the mirror, and you look and see what you did wrong, and after all the studies, and I keep listening, and I keep hearing all these excuses, and from the last fight, from 2, and all of that, what I'm not seeing is accountability, and the accountability that I'm having a problem with, not only just from the Wilder and his camp, several fans, several fighters, people in general. When you make this and you say this was a great fight to me, I thought the fight was sloppy on both ends, actually. I like Fury. Came in at 77. Doesn't look like real crispy 77, but he come in and he can handle his weight at that particular time. But I thought he missed some moments. I thought he missed a lot of moments. Naturally, yes, you don't want to get hit with that boogeyman. Ivy, Blue, down. You don't want to get hit with that boogeyman. He dropped him. He dropped him in the first fight, dropped him twice in his third fight. Okay. I think they didn't drop each other 5 times altogether or something like that, however it goes. But with Fury, it says with this is after he dropped Fury drops Wilder. Wilder turns around, drops him twice in the fourth. And he pretty much like, okay, I can go ahead. We can cancel Christmas. Go ahead, it's over. I can go home. I was able to withstand because one of the things that he wanted to do, he wants his argument was that he wanted to go out on his shield. Okay, I have no problems with that. That's fair. And every fighter deserves those things. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that you deserve. The problem I have is that where's the skill level at? Where's the skill level at? Where's the boxing basic one-on-one skill level at? Okay, because so you put on the weight, and I'm assuming that you put the weight on, try to withstand some of the weight that this cap is going to be leaning on you, Fury is going to be leaning on you. But another part of keeping a guy off you, from touching you, from putting his hands on you, from leaning on you, putting his weight on you, got to be able to jab. You got to jab. Stick and move. Treat him like boxing. Stick and move. Who was that? I think that was I forget the brother name was that did a song with Biggie Smalls and Biggie's first CD first came out. Treat it like boxing, stick and move, and that's part of the game. You sticking and moving, my man can't grab you. You got a jab in his face constantly. He can't just lean on you and grab hold to you. But see, Wilder wasn't able to keep up that stamina. He wasn't able to keep up that game plan. And I, jokingly, I always told people, even after the first fight, man, there's been some real professionals that's very a lot more deeper in the boxing pugilist game than I am. And before we get to our naysayers, say, well, you ain't never boxed. Well, I've had fights before, not professional boxing fights, but I've had fights before. I watch a lot of detail, and I think one of the best comments I've heard came from two people, Floyd Mayweather Sr. and what's his name? Beat Roy Jones twice. Can't think his name right now, but you know who I'm talking about. The Magic Man. Okay, Antonio Tarver. They both made some interesting statements after Wilder Fury 2. This guy had to go back and scratch boxing one-on-one. And I hope this get out. I want this to get viral. In my opinion, Wilder has been surrounded by a bunch of people that are just groupies, slappies, fans. Exactly what we don't stand for here. Somebody should have been there to tell him this is what you really need to do. They just been riding along, eating the cake. The cake been good. We don't like to really talk about bags, but I hope my man did well with his money. I don't really see too much of a future as far as boxing with Wilder right now. I spoke with a few friends recently. I think an interesting fight would probably be, and he probably can salvage something, make a couple of dollars if he and Joshua get together and do something. They have been talking a lot of stuff back and forth. Both of them then got 2 L's now. They can fight for some, number 2 ranking or whatever, or maybe work their way back up into the thick of things. But for me with Wilder, I just think he lacks basic boxing, one-on-one boxing skills. These are the things that I thought you're supposed to have. Leave it, Blue. That you're supposed to have before you even get started in this game. So because of that heavy right hand, he was able to make it thus far. To me, that just just lets you know which sad a state that the heavyweight division is in my opinion. I'm sure this man would get offended by what I said. I ain't no problem standing in front of the firing squad, man. We can do this. We can talk about it. Gotcha, no problem. I'll debate anybody, anywhere, anytime. It don't make a difference, man. You get me there, we can talk. Okay. Um, but I just don't think the fight was great because I just thought it was a sloppy fight. You just seen a couple bombs. It was great that you seen some people fall, but man, when you're a heavyweight champion fighting for what you fighting for, and you fighting in Vegas, and I'm watching you throw these wild looping right hands, these haymakers that's pretty much just every time you throw one, it take about a year off of your life while you throwing them, and they're not connected, and you're not doing some of the boxing essentials, you know. How about humble? And I don't like to use the word humble yourself, man, but I could have swore Floyd Mayweather Jr. had reached out or made a comment. I don't know if he reached out directly to him, but I think I've seen it somewhere within the media, social media, that he, like, come on over and talk to you, man. I'll train you, we get you together. Um, and I think he worked with Ronda Rousey a little bit, and you seen a little resemblance. But see, the toughest thing about boxing, man, Mike Tyson said it best, man. Once you get hit, man, all that stuff go out the window, man. If you ain't been boxing and just on your regular pugilist game, prior to that, it's hard to turn into a boxer, and all you've been doing is just one hit of quitters, you know. Um, and that's just where I'm at with that. Good luck to both men. Like I said, I mean, I would be interested. I watch a Joshua Wilder fight. Fury Wilder, I'm done with those. I hope they don't try to do another one. There's no reason to. But I watch just a Joshua uh, Wilder fight. If y'all can watch that, what's his name? Paul, whatever. He just talking in his way and all this money. Lord have mercy. I wish I could. If I was about 20 years younger. But anyway, he talking his way and all that big money. I watch that. Joshua Wilder. We can do that. I have no problems with that. But at the end of the day, man, I just don't think it was a great fight because I felt that it was sloppy to me. It was sloppy. Bunch of haymakers. I look for the skill, man. They call it boxing the sweet science, man. I want to see some science too. I don't just fall in love with the big punches. I like to see you set up stuff. I like to see when you take control of a fight like that. When be perfectly honest with you, no matter who it is, and a lot of you may have grew up on this story and they love it. They tell it all the time. The story of David and Goliath. Um, David was outman, was dealing with a bigger person, but he had that one shot. He caught him with that rock. And no matter who fighting, when you fighting, who you fighting, everybody's got to fight a chance. That one shot, boom, you can get caught with that, even in the best of shape and the best of skill. But I like to see you put that work in, that training in, and show me that you really, you really about your craft, man. Because when I talk to young fellas out here about any sports, and when I speak on many of them, I don't just talk about or just know about the players that the ones that I grew up with, that I actually witnessed play, did research and watched some old film, if it is film, some of the ones that played before, and got interesting commentary from people that was older than myself, who was able to see some of these past players play. And give their opinions on it. So I hate to do that to them, but I just take away from that that great fight, man. It just wasn't that great to me. And we're gonna lead on up and go up to the NFL. So we had great stuff, football and boxing Saturday. Then we go into the NFL come Sunday, man. You got some great teams out there, some teams that's been rebuilding for some years, that's actually putting on some shows and actually looking like they're making turn for the corner. Cleveland Browns is one. The Chargers and the Cleveland Browns played a hell of a game, odd game, high scoring game. My man Abear really wasn't sold on him. I thought he was just another overrated quarterback coming out of Oregon, but he's looking like he's proven not only me and several people wrong if they had doubts about him. He's running that Charger team well. I wish my man Lynn could have had a chance to actually be there. If y'all know who used to be the head coach of LA Chargers, whatever now. I wish he would have really had a chance to get with that man and develop, because he was going through. He never really had his quarterback while he was there. That's another story too, but it's going to kind of lead up into what we're finishing up with today. And across the board, Aaron Rodgers looked like being shook off that dust. Brought Pittsburgh in there. They were able to come up with a win, pull that thing out. Uh, it was several great games over the weekend, over Sunday, dealing with the NFL. And Let me see. Hold on, we could get this. Give me 1 second. 1 second. No, stay. Yeah, I got two blue pits, man. Blue and ivy. Um, everything is work. We still work at it. We want to make sure they good. Okay. Yeah. So, where's that? Where's that? I'm sorry. Okay. I can't seem to find it right now. Can't seem to find it right now. Let me see if I can check on here real quick. See if we can pull it up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so we like I said, yeah, naturally Brady and them did what they did. Lions and Vikings, man, the Lions are snake, but like I said, I'm born and raised Detroiter, man. Just haven't did the Lions since the late '70s, early '80s. Another one bites the dust. Billy Sims for me. Um, Buzzards luck, just Buzzards luck seems like. Saints look good over there. The Eagles beat the Panthers. So the the league has got a lot of interesting play going on right now, and one of the biggest teams um, for me, one of my favorites. Matter of fact, is my favorite. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. You just go put that out there. I've said it before on several other episodes, but I'm a Cowboys man. And I've been watching, and they talked to Jimmy Johnson the other day, yesterday on the his show over there, and he literally basically just said, "Hey, they look just as good. They look about as good as what he had when he had them." And one of the things that they needed to work on was their defense. One of the things they needed to work on for the past several years now was the defense. Offense has pretty much been intact for the most part, even before the additions of Amari Cooper and all those different things like that, and Lamb and stuff. But the defense was in shambles. And speaking of which, they had just released Jalen Smith last week. Somebody they had drafted, set him on the shelf, let him rehabilitate. And when he got ready, he was back in the thick of things. But I wasn't overly impressed with Jalen after I've been watching. He was a chaser. And again, this is what I'll tell people. I'm a detail oriented person. So when I watch your linebacker play, I didn't play linebacker. I played safety. I was a strong safety defensively. Played a little quarterback too. But um, when you on that defensive side of the ball, it's like triggers or little steps that you'll watch, and you notice things, and you make your pursuit angles and your first steps and different things like that. And I just didn't see that in Jalen Smith as an inside linebacker. He spent a lot of time chasing. I never really seen him just come up in that hole, just get up in that hole and make some stuff nasty. Sideline to sideline, he looked good. He was chasing people down and stuff like that, but he just wasn't great as far as a run stopper. He was a decent cover back, but when he get it kind of gritty in there, he just wasn't doing the job. Lot of hype, lot of show, no results as far as I'm concerned. So I was actually looking to replace him for a minute, and even Vanderleach, because he, seemed like he was taking over for Sean Lee. Just Sean Lee was a hell of a football player, but he just couldn't stay on the field. He just stayed injured, and so they released Jalen, and I understood why, because you had guys. You look at and what I mean about it, the guy, that ball hawk, that inside linebacker, that's not just chasing people down sideline to sidelines, not just covering folks in passing situations. I'm looking at that guy that's coming in there. Say like think what's his last name? Young man that plays middle line inside linebacker for the Buccaneers. I think David is his last name. I can't think of it right now, but you guys can look him up, man. That's like this young man. You can't get him off the field. He covering, he hitting the hole, he bringing that smoke, and that's what you got in the Cowboys right now. Defense has picked it up. As long as the defense plays healthy, my man Diggs back there. We don't even want to talk right now. He defensive player of the year. Last time I seen a cornerback had that many interceptions this early, or just blatant ball hawk like that, we gonna go back. We We go back. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go online. I'm gonna take a look at that too. I'm gonna look it up. But we go back, man. I don't know if many of you remember Everson Walls, man, former Cowboy great. Uh, Led the league in interceptions his first 2 seasons in the NFL. After that, they kind of left him alone. I think he had 12, 10 picks the first year, 12, and he had several. 2 years in a row he led the NFL in interceptions. Just ball hawking, you know. NFL great. Uh, uh, Dallas Cowboy, definitely a Cowboy great, you know, and that's what Diggs is looking like right now. So the defense is making things happen. Your nickel backs are in there making things happen. They're just not suspect that much like they were in the past in the corner position, the safety position. They've addressed some of them issues. In the future, years coming up, I would still like them to go defense. I'm still looking for them to pick up another linebacker, another safety, uh, and a D lineman. But overall, the defense stays healthy. Continue to put up what they put. My man D Law come back. It's gonna be interesting. Right now, they looking like they can represent the NFC going to the Super Bowl if that was to happen. You know, and I don't want to, jinx them right now. You know, but this looking like that, and this is leading up to our final segue of the day. This is leading up to this song. It's slappy. It's a slappy interlude. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I love this. I love this. I love it. You know, we put this together. We put this together part slappy and just pure blasphemy. And what we go talk about, we're gonna end this show today on this note, man. And you had to be blind, deaf, or dumb, or just not out there to witness what is taking place in these past week or so. And I want to speak on it today. I'll finish up this episode on this note. It's that blasphemy. Um, Here's the problem. Recently, week before last, Urban Meyer doesn't make it to. He doesn't take the plane back with the team after playing the Browns, I think it was, and he ends up at his bar. I think a bar that he owns, if I'm not mistaken. You can go. I don't want to misrepresentate or misquote anybody, whatever. But he ended up at his bar. I guess a bar that he owns in Ohio. You know, he was there. He used to be the coach of Ohio State Buckeyes. It was video that became available where it was a young lady that was dancing in his lap, and she wasn't his wife. So we right there, it wasn't his wife for one. Well, we before we even get there, he didn't travel back with the team. Said he wanted to check on his his businesses. Well, while I was there, young lady in his lap or whatever, and he's since been on the apology trail. I've heard a few little segments of his apology. I've heard the owner's statements, read the owner's statements in regards to him getting the respect or back up his players and the team or what have you. His talk, all of that. And then we follow that up right behind Urban Meyer. We run into this John Gruden incident. John Gruden supposedly he has some negative, has some things to say about DeMaurice Smith, who's the NFL leader of the NFL Players Association or whatever. He represents them. Has some racial overtones and some emails that he sent. Come to find out, he had some more negative comments about some harsh words, explicits about Commissioner Goodell. This is John Gruden. Here's my problem. We gonna start here, and I know y'all see that in the back. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm a B1 guy. And if y'all follow around, listen, you figure out what that B1 is, man. That's what I was born, and I'm over half century. I'm over half century into this whole little ordeal, and I'm talking about this because it's a reflect. Most of you hear those comments like "shut up and dribble" or whatever. My man Colin Kaepernick took a lot of heat. what he went through, still has never received another job in the NFL. He sacrificed his career to bring awareness to social justice. He was quickly blackballed, whiteballed, whatever ball you want to call it, casted away from the NFL, written off as a problem. They changed his narrative, tried to make something disrespecting the vets and different things like that, and the national anthem. We talk about the national anthem. We don't want to talk about the national anthem and the stanza that's missing and who wrote it and what it really meant. We don't want to discuss those things. And in general, when you start dealing with things as far as racial issues within sports or any level of life and society, is always something that they really taboo about, and hush hush and quiet. And many of our African American, Black, or African, whichever one you want to go, that works within the realm of the sports arenas, that works for those networks, the ESPNs, ABCs, NBCs, Foxes, and different things like that. Those who get them checks from some of that, endorsed by some of the larger corporations, that supports them and pays their bills, help them pay their bills or what have you. Lots of times you won't get, and this is just my opinion, but you don't get the real. And this is one of the reasons why I started doing these sports podcasts, not only just because of the love of sports, but I wanted to hear from somebody that's going to actually talk about it, and it's going to talk about it in depth. And is not scared or afraid of corporate sponsorship or losing any friends. And any of my friends who are considered a friend or so-called friend who may have watched this or may see this, and you decide to, what they call it, cancel culture, stop dealing with me, cancel me, don't follow or delete me or whatever, then that means you weren't a friend of mine for real anyway. Because if you were a friend of mine, you know that my demeanor and my attitude have always been a B1 first person first. That's what I was born in my skin. And what I witnessed in my skin throughout my over half century of being here is not necessarily something great. You do your history. One of the biggest things they always talk about when we start talking about racial conversations, everything, they always talk about education. We have to re-educate ourselves. When you send somebody back to send somebody to school for sensitivity training and education, educate themselves on this. And those are those one-liners that I've been tired of hearing. That's the one-liner that you hear, to deflect, the soundbite. This is a note 10, whatever it is, whatever. But we all got cell phones. Many people have cell phones. I would say a good majority of everybody has a cell phone nowadays, those who can afford one. Your cell phone, not only as a communication device, it's also like a walking library, thesaurus, dictionary, encyclopedia. Though all of the information that you may get from online or social media, or just research through maybe Google, Bing, or wherever you research it, but you get a plethora of information at your disposal. So it's up to you. You can go through and read it and decide on what, if you feel that this has any face value. You got some generic sites out there that just make up a lot of fake news. I know our former president used to speak a lot about fake news, and I do acknowledge that. No matter who's in the White House, you do have fake news, no matter who's being covered. But again, I always go by B1 for philosophy, because it's what I was born as, and what I've witnessed and what I've dealt with through my time here on Earth and being alive. I witnessed a lot. We witnessed a lot as Black people growing up in America, and this is a global thing. So you go and you look in here and you watch some of these, like you get these players, man. Your players get caught. They may have failed a drug test. You have some that have been caught up in some domestic violence issues. Some that's had racial overtones and spoke on negatively racially about different players and situations. Leave it. Situations like that. Ray Rice comes to mind. I'm not defending Ray Rice or his actions, nor his wife. I'm sure he's still married, but that incident pretty much, not saying that he should have been able to keep his job. I don't know, but he pretty much forfeited his career in that. And I think the players are held to the fire a lot. a lot more than say a coach or owner. Well, we haven't heard much about um, what's his name, Robert Kraft's uh, massage parlor incidents or what have you. You know, those things can be kind of hush hush. Have been real quiet. But most importantly, we talk about integrity of the players and with the game and what they represent, and what they bring. You know, embarrassing the organizations. Okay, we talk about bags here. I don't know if them two gentlemen should be fired. I'm not so sure. I don't know what the discipline is for it. Okay, I do know and have seen discipline for players that look like myself, or artists, or journalists, or coaches, or whomever that look like myself. I know they don't receive that same leniency. I mentioned earlier in this broadcast about the former coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, who's now an assistant in Detroit. Speaking of Detroit, they had one of their winningest coaches, Jim Caldwell, who was fired, who was replaced by Matt Patricia for whatever reason. But leave it. But Caldwell had actually been one of the most successful Lions coaches. Um, Long story short, Black or African American coaches, players, and different things, you just don't have that same that same extension. You know, you don't have that leniency. It's not there. So we had a coach who's not with his wife get caught in a real, shady looking situation with a young lady dancing in his lap. I don't know how you spin out of that, or um, uh, you can make it seem like an honest mistake. You're too old for that. And you ask with a lot of integrity and responsibility. You expect this from your young men that played college football for you, the men that currently play professional football for you, your trainers, your locker room attendants, everybody. These things is respect you expect from your organization to be loyal to you. Urban Meyer has had a trail of kind of, I want to say shady, but fickle or interesting situation. I think he had one former coach that was abusing his wife, downplayed those things. And these things just keep, they keep coming, they keep coming. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking like, okay, if this would have been a black player, black coach, would they have received the same leniency and what we're looking at right now? Again, do I think they need to be fired? They haven't talked about that. The conversation hadn't even came about. The owners talking about forgiveness and gaining back the trust of your coach. Well, in Meyer's situation and in John Gruden's situation, especially John Gruden with the racial overtones, to who they haven't released, or I haven't seen it yet exactly what was put in the email, but I did get some little snippets from watching a few, I think, Sports Center or First Take. Apparently, he mentioned, he said something called DeMaurice Smith a dumb something, a dumb so and so. And this is one of those negative stereotypes that we as black people or African people have been dealing with since birth. The quote unquote you dumb or ignorant or whatever. And this man is like far from dumb or stupid. I don't know how you can get to a position of that magnitude and be stupid. It just don't make any sense, black or white. But and he's even been so crass to try to, like, I'm done talking about it. That's what he said. I'm done talking about it. Like, he just wants to shut down the narrative. He just wants to shut this down. He just wanted to go away. And eventually it will go away. As far as his discipline is concerned, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do. Watch Randy Moss's response, tearful response on his show. But what you're not going to get, even with Randy Moss's response, one that I really had a problem with, I was watching earlier, First Take with Stephen A. and my man, the playmaker, Michael Urban. What you get from a lot of media, those that's doing mainstream television, mainstream, like I said, they work for those major networks or had those major companies and endorsements and corporate endorsements and different things. They can't speak. They really can't speak. This is no fan. We speak no fan groupie. We don't speak fan groupie or slappy here. That's what this is all about. This was about being honest, talking about, black and white, maybe a shade of gray. Okay. And what I'm hearing from these guys is, I'm not you hear a lot of guys, well, the man that I know, he's not like that. The woman I know, she's not like that. Um, I apologize, John Gruden. I didn't realize that was insensitive. I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. For the past 3 years or so, um, we've been dealing with Colin Kaepernick, and it's pretty much a thing of the past now. They don't even speak about Colin anymore. But you just, though, I was right there in your face. It was right there involved with in the NFL. How do you know in 2021 when you make remarks about black people, a negative in a negative light, that you didn't know? But we constantly talking about educating ourselves. We educate. You can go up there and tell them blue gypsy, red right, 421 south, and remember every aspect of each player, all 11 of your players, and possibly the 11 of the reactions of the others on the opposing team. But you're not smart enough to make or not have a young lady sit in your lap, but dance kind of scadly, cadly in your lap, or you don't have enough sense to send an email about a black a representative of the fellow people the fellow players that you coach. The majority of them that don't look like you. You're not smart enough to handle that and not speak or say anything negatively. And this is the way you feel. This is something that you should have kept to yourself. Now, my problem with Stephen A., Michael Irvin, and plenty of the other black hosts and journalists that's going to speak on this particular topic, they not go here. And that's to negatively and seriously condone those persons, those coaches, those parties involved for their behavior, because they afraid of losing that bag. Which I get it. You got a bag, blue. You got a bag, been feeding your family, living real good, man. I'm sure that's some good money, some good living, some good traveling, some good everything, man. You driving them fat cars, meeting the fat women or meeting the fat men, and living that life and travel and see the world, and they give you this and you rub elbows with all these people and this, that, and the other thing is wonderful. But I'm like to think at a certain point, when is the money not an issue? They talk to the general public about educating themselves, getting better jobs, putting themselves in better situations, investing your money, putting things up, investing in business, real estate, stocks, bonds, you name it, to improve your individual and your family's situation. And I would find it hard pressed to think that somebody, a journalist, man or woman, who's been making good money within this corporate America, the millionaire bucks, speaking on sports, that most of the young men and women that be partaking in these activities are nowhere close to financially stable as the people that they play for. Um, and they put in these situations, but then you don't have the ability to say, okay, enough is enough, and let's stop sugarcoating. Let's say, well, this is not the guy I know. I work with him here at ESPN. I've never heard one thing like that from him. Okay, you're not gonna hear nothing like that from him, because apparently he was on his P's and Q's all that time while y'all was working together and didn't have any reason to say anything of that nature. I like to think that what they say, you can't change the leopard. The leopard can't change the spots or whatever. We can educate ourselves. Okay, well, that happened 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it's still been the same issue as far as black and white. It didn't change. It was still a problem. Racism has always been a problem as long as I've been on this earth, as long as I've been breathing. So we can't shut it down and say, well, that happened 10 years ago. And then to address 10 years ago, here's the funny thing about 10 years ago. And I get this. I love this. Okay. 10 years ago, um, 10 years ago, I had some real bad credit. Foreclosed on, had a repo. And if I walk into a dealership today, for some reason, 10 years ago, they'll see that repo or that foreclosure on my credit score, on my credit history. It don't go nowhere. That credit, they put it on the back burner. Look, I had an accident 5 years ago, and I got to renew my insurance. And when you put all your information in there, guess what they do? They pull up your history. They pull up your history. Now even in the auto industry, they pull up your credit history, right, for insurance. So you get your credit history pulled up in that too. He had an accident 5 years ago. Oh, your insurance is this. Such. That was 5 years ago. No accident forgiveness. Do I need to go on? Do I really need to go on with this history thing? 10 years ago. See, as a black man, I can't get past my past history. It's negative history. If I did some time, oh yeah, your criminal history, man, you did 10 years in the joints 20 years ago. That's view. When I go fill out that job application, gotta tell them I was in the joint 10 years ago. And then they form an opinion about me. And many times for black people, you don't get that. You don't get that privilege, man. You don't get that. You don't get the naysayers who just kind of like sweep this over and just blow it over the rug or sweep it under the rug and just move on and life goes on. We don't get that. We don't get that. So I'm having a hard time listening to some of those fellow journalists that look like me, share the same skin tones, share the same problems, because the problems don't go away with the money. All the money that you made or whatever, the problems don't go away as far as dealing with the color of your skin, your blackness, and the racial stuff that we still deal with to this day. Like I said, Colin Kaepernick don't have a job in NFL. It wasn't just because he couldn't play football, because there's some terrible quarterbacks, there's backup quarterbacks that's in the NFL currently, but he's been ostracized because of a subject that no one likes to talk about. You mentioned the word reparations or say anything of that nature. Matter of fact, I just found out recently that when America apologized to African Americans or blacks or Africans for their role in slavery, one of the stipulations in it, they clearly made it known that this is not an admit of guilt or anything like this to formulate a way for you to receive your reparations or even sue the United States or anything of that nature. They clearly made that, but we know reparations has been paid back, or some form of reparations has been given to several other groups. And we don't even want to mention the word, because we mention the word, they shut this down too. That's the sad thing about this whole concept. And then even over the weekend, the LBGT community is at odds with my man Dave Chappelle now, because of what Dave Chappelle said. And when I still haven't watched it yet. I got to sit down and watch it, man. I'm gonna get a chance to watch it sometime soon. But apparently they're upset with what Dave Chappelle said in regards about the LBGT community and defending, I guess, the rapper DaBaby, because of his comments he made at a concert. Which his comments, when he made his comments, they then began to shut down him, or cancel culture came about. Counseling, because he said something in a negative light about a community. So, like Dave said, you can kill black men, women. You can use negative wording or whatever, call them out of their name, use that N word and all this other kind of stuff. And it's the sorry train, the apology train comes, and everything is okay. LBGT community gets offended, and the world stops. And I might get even a little feedback from this myself, which I'm not afraid of. Like I said, I would debate anybody, anywhere, anytime. Bring me in. We can talk about that too. Off the record, on the record, or however you want to do it. Don't make me any difference, because I'm not shy. Okay. Um, we can discuss things, because one of the things that I am is an information hog, and I love doing research. I love information. Everything hasn't been face value. Even though I grew up initially, this is what we were led to believe, that face value is what we should believe in, and this is what everybody has our best interest at heart. And as we found out, even now, myself, now 50 plus years into this, that's not the case. Okay, that's not the case. So if you do find offense in me speaking on that, like I said, we can talk about it. I'll meet your rabbis, and you take me on the Nick Cannon tour. I can't be buck broken though. See, that's the difference between me, and whomever else. I can't be buck broken. All right. And this is what education is for, right? We're supposed to educate ourselves, become better people, better individuals, and make this world a better place for everyone to live in comfortably. And from what I'm seeing, man, we still not comfortable. And this is shout out, man. Please make it viral, dude. Any of you African American journalists that talk and speak on that level, what's my man name? I cannot think of his name right now. But if you talk on that biscuit level, you know, if you just along for the ride, you just along for the dollars. You just along for the dollars. You know, if that's what this is about. If you just along for the ride, you know, you can be worried about, you know, consuming and eating up all the dollars that you can get. We can talk too. I'll talk to anybody, man. Have no problems. I'm not scared. Okay. But one thing we do have to do, we have to stop sugarcoating these things. We got to quit sweeping all this stuff up under the rug and have a real conversation about race and race relations within the United States and globally abroad. This is just not a United States problem. This is not just an American problem. This is a global problem. Okay. And something that needs to be dealt with. So enough of those men and women that's on TV, on these networks, that's just out here just, you know, riding that wave. Want to just toss it up under the little thing. Let's move on, you know, because you worried about, you know, Big Papa cutting off that paycheck. And I don't feel for you because as long as you've been getting it, you should be straight. You shouldn't be worried about that no more. You should have yourself set up real nice. You know, cats are not here making millions and millions of dollars for quite some time, man. You should be real nice where you can actually act like a man or a woman and speak up for your people. And for those of us that don't have that voice that you have, you know, speak up for yourself. Okay. I don't know what they go do with this Meyer Gruden thing. And again, I'm not sitting here to say, I'll fire him tomorrow. I'm not one of those type of people. But it does need to be addressed because I know somebody that looked like me wouldn't receive the same leniency. Been dealing with it. It's nothing you can tell me. You can't prove me. You can't tell me anything otherwise after over half a century doing this. Hey, again, I'm your host, man. I go by New Simple NEW. Again, shout out to my main man, Don Q, RIP. Hope you enjoyed this segment. We'll be back again. Check out Sexy Black Entertainment. Like I said, it's our new sponsor. We'll be back talking about plenty more of this. Dive into something. I would love to hear any responses, any comments. And I'd be more than welcome. Like I said again, you know, this goes to wherever this goes, and we can sit down and talk. I have no problems talking to anybody about any of this, man. I would love, matter of fact, I would relish the opportunity to sit somewhere and talk to some of these top-notch journalists out here about this particular subject. And we can go on your platform, you know, sit down and bang it out. You know, because I'm having a hard time understanding this, man. You know, it's a teaching thing. I keep hearing everything about education, every education. Got education on your cell phone. Got education in your purse. Got education in your hip, on your hip. Information right there at your fingertips. And a lot of the information is not conducive to with the information that was brought to you when you first learned who you were or what we were doing here, or how we got here, or any of those things. We got to quit letting that conversation just be swept under the rug and riding by. Holler at me. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. There's No Fan Sports Podcast TV, man. Thank you for listening to me. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace. Y'all don't want it though. I know you don't.